Welcome to another Gearwig battle report. A 50-point game between Eric's Mercenaries and Joe's Circle at the complex in Scarborough, Maine. Joe is playing Baldur's Tier 3 Theme Force. He's got a Wold Wrath and 2 Wold Wardens. And before you're all like, where's Megalith? Well, Megalith hasn't been painted yet, so he isn't allowed in the video. When you're in my battle report, you play by my crazy rules. And he's got 2 units of Wold Stalkers, affectionately referred to as Stone Shrimps. Got 2 units of Shifting Stones, one with the UA, and a unit of Mannequins, for 50 points of Baldur. Eric is bringing Damiano with his character Jack Rocinante. He's bringing a full unit of the Steelhead Cavalry. Get a good look at his bases here. Eric molds his own bases. It's pretty cool. They came out great. He's got the solo Stannis over there with the cavalry. Got a full unit of Halberdiers. A second full unit of Halberdiers. Got Rupert the Piper back there. Full unit of Steelhead Riflemen. And a full unit of Kayaze Assassins with the Underboss. Eric deploys first. He has a unit of Halberdiers, Cavalry, and Riflemen all along here at the bottom. Nearby Stannis will give them Tactician, so they can move through each other and won't block each other in. Damiano and his Jack take a central position. The Kayaze Assassins are next. They have a Rupert nearby who'll be giving them tough, and the last unit of Halberdiers are at the top. This is Joe's final positioning after his wacky 4-step deployment process. Nearly everything in his list has advanced move or advanced deploy. The mannequins are allowed to be 20 inches up. Only his Colossal and Baldur himself are actually on the initial deployment line. Everything else is allowed to push up, thanks to his theme force. And the game's taking place on the 2015 Steamroller Recon scenario. There's a central zone they'll be fighting over. They each have a bunker objective, and the 2 flags on the outside can only be dominated. Eric decides to hold on to all his focus. He doesn't allocate any. Damiano's spells are very good, but very expensive. He's often very focus-strapped. He starts by casting Surefoot on the Underboss. The Underboss and every model within 3 inches of him will get +2 defense and can't be knocked down. So it stacks their already high defense up even higher, and when they make tough rolls, they won't fall. It's pretty cool. He casts Death March on the Halberdiers. That gives them +2 Mat and Vengeance. That runs Damiano out of focus, and he just advances up. The Halberdiers go next, and they run. These guys are a great cheap unit, and with Death March their base mat of 5 goes up to 7, which further increases to 9 when they charge, and having Vengeance on a unit with Reach is always great, so get a lot of value for not a lot of points here with these guys. Eric is checking Stannis' command range here to make sure everyone who needs it gets Tactician, and they do, so they can all advance through each other. The Riflemen go first, and they run up onto this high ground. We treated this as elevated terrain. And they end up like that. Rocinante advances up toward Damiano. He's a solid long-range Jack. He also gets the Guard Dog ability, like a Kadoran War Dog. He fires off a shot. It'll come up short, but it'll scatter. He clips the Mannequin Stone, which is armor 18, so no damage. Kayaze Assassins go next and they run. tries to position them carefully to maximize the Surefoot bonus. Every model within 3 inches of the underboss, because he has the upkeep spell, will be affected by Surefoot. It's not like an upkeep spell that targets a whole unit. It targets an area around one model. And the unit of steelheads at the top run as well. Eric brought some of his custom terrain for this game. That building at the top is his, and the one on the other side is as well. You'll see later. But they look really cool. Rupert advances and plays his bagpipes at the Kayazi assassins, and now they are fearless and tough. Then Stannis goes and runs up, tries to position him to make the best of his tactician aura, get as many as the riflemen and halberdiers as possible. There he goes. Then the cavalry go. They should all benefit from tactician next turn, so if they need to run through that blob of riflemen or halberdiers, they can. So he's got a lot of threat here in this one huge blob of chunky infantry. It looks good. Big, huge wave of steelheads. Joe starts by activating his mannequins in their stone. The stone starts the activation by gaining a fury. It then spends that fury to teleport. He measures his control area. He wants to turn one of these mannequins into a forest to teleport to later, so he wants to make sure it's in the perfect spot. The other mannequins advance up. And the one in the back turns into a forest. Baldur will use this later. This mannequin fires a spray into some assassins. It'll clip 3 of them, but it'll need boxcars to hit. So it misses. Misses again. And misses a 3rd time. The other one sprays into some steelheads. This won't be so bad. Only need a 9 to hit. He misses the first roll, as well as the second roll. One unit of the stone shrimps advances up. They'll take some shots at the steelheads. They finish their movement like this. First one takes a shot. He's shooting up onto elevation, so he'll need a 9. But he hits. Kills a steelhead. The other ones will shoot and need 7s. They miss. A hit. They're POW 12, so they auto-kill these steelheads, or only armor 13. Another shot into steelheads. Just in. Another hit. And a dead steelhead. Right about now, Eric is regretting putting tough on the assassins with his Rupert ability. With the assassin stealth, high defense, and Surefoot, they don't really need tough. That's a bit redundant. Would have been more valuable on those steelheads. And then the unit's officer, the Stone Ward, uses his action to cast Zephyr, a spell that allows each member of this unit to make a 3-inch move. It's really handy. These guys are really versatile. They can move, shoot, and move. They can take the aiming bonus, shoot, and then move. A good unit. The Shifting Stone unit with the UA uses its activation to teleport up to make a little landing pad in the hopes of being useful next turn. The UA fires off his spell at one of the steelheads. The attack hits and is POW 14, which is enough to destroy it. One of the wardens activates and runs, making sure to end within the triangular area of one of the Shifting Stone units. The Wold Wrath activates next and advances up. He has a 14-inch ranged attack that he targets a steelhead with. He'll boost the attack roll. It hits, destroys the steelhead, bounces to the objective, and leaves behind 2 AoEs, a 3-inch AoE on each of its targets. Then Baldur activates. If he is standing completely within a forest, he can sacrifice his movement to teleport to another area completely within a forest, and he does so. He had to cast the Warden's Animus to create the forest under him, and then teleported to that one he created with the mannequin. Then he uses his feet. His entire control area is considered to be rough terrain. Additionally, friendly models in his control area gain cover. This is an excellent red light feat. It shuts the opponent down for one turn. The last Warden advances, and it's going to be forced to use its Geomancy ability, which lets it cast one of Baldur's spells. It's going to cast Earth Spikes, a 10-inch range, 3-inch AoE. It hits for POW 13, and on a crit, it'll knock everyone hit down. The Warden is forced to boost the attack roll. The attack roll hits, and the Steelhead is destroyed. The second unit of little stone shrimpy guys advances up. Start taking some shots. First one at a Steelhead. The attack roll hits. Steelhead's destroyed. Firing another one that's just in. That attack hits as well and forces a command check that the Steelheads pass thanks to nearby Stannis. The officer for this unit casts Zephyr, and they shuffle around a little bit. The last Shifting Stone unit teleports forward, and that ends Joe's first turn, where he was able to pick off a fair number of frontline troops, but is still up against an ocean of infantry in what will probably turn out to be Gearwig's longest and most epic battle report yet. Eric starts his maintenance phase handling the Vengeance moves from the unit of Steelheads that had the Death March upkeep spell. They're marching right into Baldur's feet, so that most of them are moving at half speed, and none can get close enough to make attacks. Eric decides to upkeep both upkeep spells, even the Death March on the unit of 3 Halberdiers. He decides not to allocate anything to Rocinante, so Damiano goes into the turn with 4 focus. The Assassins activate first. They're right in the middle of Baldur's feet, so they're not going to be able to get any significant charges off. Instead, they just run and jam up as many models as they can. They have a very high defense in melee naturally, and thanks to Surefoot on the underboss, who's standing right in the middle, it's exceptionally high. The smaller Halberdier unit activates. Even with rough terrain, a couple of them can get charges on the Shifting Stone's UA. And the third one just runs forward. Thanks to Death March and their powerful charge bonus, they're effective mat 9 when they charge, so they hit. The UA has 5 boxes, but he only has 13 armor, so the charge attack kills him. The other Steelhead unit at the top activates. Most are in Baldar's feet, and will have to run. But one is able to skirt the edge at the top and actually get in on one of the shrimps. He hits his attack roll and does enough damage to destroy it. Damiano goes next. Eric puts some thought into this activation. He very seriously considers just camping all 4 focus. Baldar's next turn will be a serious one. He has a lot of threatening ranged attacks. On the other hand, he'd like to cycle that Death March ability onto the cavalry. They can benefit from the map bonus, sure, but also having big, hard-hitting cavalry with a Vengeance move is pretty good, too. As he ponders that, he spends one of Damiano's coins to give the Riflemen the Money Shot ability, giving them +2 to attack and damage rolls on their ranged attacks. Ultimately, he decides to cast the spell on the cavalry. He then uses his ranged attack to target a Shifting Stone. The attack hits. He spends his last focus to boost the damage, Dice minus 6 has 4 damage, leaving the shifting stone with 1 box. The riflemen are next. They advance a little bit into Baldur's feet. First one takes a shot at that wounded shifting stone with only 1 box left. He hits. They're rolling dice minus 5. And does enough damage to destroy it. A pair of riflemen team up for a CRA at a mannequin with cover, needing a 7. They miss. They can re-roll thanks to combined arms. They miss again. Another pair combine and shoot into a shifting stone. The attack roll hits. We're rolling dice minus 3 and do just enough damage to destroy it. Another pair of riflemen team up at that mannequin one more time, needing a 7. They hit and do enough damage to destroy it. One last pair fire into a shifting stone, hit, dice minus 3 for 0 damage. The cavalry get a run charge order. The first one assaults a shifting stone. He'll get a ranged attack in addition to his charge attack. And the rest just run into positions. They aren't close enough to do any damage or get any ranged attacks off. Thanks to Stannis, they can run through their own guys. The one who attempted to charge the shifting stone failed his charge, but still gets his ranged attack. The shifting stone has cover, so that he needs a 4 to hit, and rolls a 3. Stannis activates and runs such that he can get as many of these cavalry guys in his tactician bubble as possible. As he activates Rocinante, Eric realizes he's in big trouble. He left Damiano out in the open. There are few too many lines of sight to him. He isn't camping any focus or any defensive buffs. Rocinante can't run, he can only advance. He can't block any lines of sight. The Jack fires its cannon at a shifting stone in the back. It somehow manages to miss. The shot scatters, but everything Baldur has is immune to blast damage, thanks to his solid ground spell. Rupert goes last and makes the assassins tough again. Joe decides not to upkeep solid ground. This is going to be an all-in assassination turn for him. Shifting stones activate, and they just teleport out of the way. He places them so they block some charge lanes. The Warden activates and moves up into line of sight of Damiano. He'll cast that Earth Spike spell at him. If it critically hits, it'll knock him down, which would be real bad. To boost the attack roll, he needs a 9 to hit. But only rolls a 7. The AoE scatters. It'll clip the objective and 2 of the assassins. He'll roll dice minus 11 on the objective and boost the damage roll for 3 damage. He rolls damage on the assassin to kill it, but it makes its tough roll. He rolls damage on the second one to kill that one, and he fails his tough roll. The stone shrimps along the top activate. They sacrifice their movement to take the aiming bonus, and then the officer casts that Zephyr spell so they can shift back a little bit. And they end up like this. They take a shot at an assassin. But miss. Now they start firing at steelheads. They only need 5s now. You get a hit and a dead steelhead. Get a miss, a hit, and a dead steelhead. The other unit of shifting stones activates and just teleports out of the way. The mannequins activate. It gets a fury just for being a mannequin stone. The one remaining mannequin turns into a forest for lack of anything better to do. Then the stone spends the fury to teleport out of the way. Joe is clearing the zone for his big Warden activation coming up. The Warden tramples over 2 of the assassins. At the end of this trample, he'll be able to use Geomancy and cast Earth Spikes. When I first saw someone do this move at my local gaming store, I was like, what? This is so cheating. But it isn't. A trample isn't like a charge. It doesn't have a target, so it doesn't fail. Once you're done trampling, you can do other stuff. Buy attacks or cast spells in this guy's case. He makes trample attack rolls against the two assassins, misses the first, and misses the second. He's got Damiano in his line of sight for a boosted Earth Spike roll. If he rolls a crit, he'll knock him down. Needs a 9 to hit, and rolls an 11 with a crit. Oh boy. At dice -3, he takes 11 damage. He's got 5 boxes left and flat on his ass. The other unit of shrimps fires at cavalry with the aiming bonus. The officer casts concentrated fire. The unit will get +1 damage for every model that hits, like this one. Rolling dice -4 for 2 damage. Another shrimp will miss. Then we'll get a hit. Down to dice -3 for 1 damage. Another hit. Dice -2 now for only 2 damage. And the last one misses. The big guy moves up. He can draw line of sight to Damiano too. Damiano, whose defense is now 5 because he was knocked down. Joe will boost the attack roll on his range shot because why not? Anything but 3 1s will hit. And that's not 3 1s. It's going to be dice -1, also boosted. And that is plenty to kill Damiano. And ends the game. This game was unfortunately short, but it did highlight this Baldur's Theme Force's incredible amount of threat. I've played this list myself. It is a lot of fun. The combination of starting way up the board like he does, and his big red light feat shutting down the opponent gives you a lot of control. Opponents are forced to play very defensively on their second turn. Eric was really kicking himself at the end. He had the tools in his toolbox here to make this a much better game. Surefoot on Damiano, for instance, would have made him a lot tougher to assassinate, of course. He could have popped his feat the turn prior. His feat gives friendly models in his control area +3 strength and +3 armor. He wouldn't have benefited at all from the +3 strength because of Baldur's feat shutting down his entire army there, and that kind of stinks. But you have to figure that Baldur's next turn would have been Baldur's most damaging turn, and he would have benefited the most from +3 armor, so it might have been worth just playing it straight that way. Lastly, he just could have blocked some of those lines of sight and camped some focus. Kind of stinks to play your whole turn defensively like that, to spend all your resources and all your movement preventing their assassination because you can't do anything on your turn, but sometimes that's your only choice. Thank you for watching this Gearwig battle report. For more battle reports, articles, guides, and more, check out Gearwig.com. You can email me at boss@gearwig.com or check out our Facebook or Twitter page. If you want to help the site out, tell a friend and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks.